Hi, my name's Hugh, and I want to show you how to pack the GCs up for shipment back to us. Hopefully you will have saved the plastic shipping container that the GC arrives in, and if you do have to return it for some reason, this will show you how to put it back in. The weight that was originally on the GC is here, so if you don't have to weigh it, it probably weighs the same as it did when it arrived. So you've got the weight, and so open the box and remove some of the packing material that hopefully is still in there. There's a couple of cardboard brackets, and then there's some parts. You may have used some of these parts already, but it's the packing material that's really the important, and the two bolts that hold the box shut. So at the bottom, there's a piece of expensive foam that's already got little holes for the feet of the GC to sit in.
Not too hard, so you won't have to do it over like that?
I don't mind. So then the easiest thing is to put it on the ground and get the GC so it's sitting in the feet. And then find the foam here and put the two cardboard angles here to make that all sturdy. And then you take the belt and feed it through and then back, and then you cinch it up tight so that it's really on there, and you can lift then the whole thing by the little strap. So you lift it up, put it in the box, power cord to the side there. If there's anything else that has to go with it, this is the parts kit that comes with a new GC. You probably won't have that, so just fill up the gaps with any extra foam. It doesn't have to be really tight. Don't use little foam worms. Those are too messy to unpack. So this should be fine. This travels well. So close it up, and if you have the bolts, so the bolts go in, tighten it up, 2 wrenches, tighten the bolts up. If you don't have the bolts, you can use a tie wrap instead, right? So get a big heavy-duty tie wrap or 2 and cinch it shut like that. That'll be fine also. So this is how we pack up the Model 310 GC. So very similar is to box up the 8610 GC. Take all the packing material out. Find the 2 bolts. So this GC has a pre-concentrator on it, this thing here that my thumb is resting on. And so when we put this in the box, we'd want to orient it on the foam so that this was sticking out the end that has the most room. So we'll do the same thing. We'll put the cardboard angles on. And this GC has 2 straps instead of 1. So we feed it through the buckle. Straight. Feed it through the buckle. And then make sure you get the straps onto the little cardboard angles. Through again. And then cinch it up tight, just like putting a saddle on a horse. So then you can lift with the 2 straps, put it in the box. If there's anything else that goes in there, put it in, and then close the top. Then close it up with a zip tie, or to be really secure, use 2 zip ties on each side. Okay, so that was the 8610 size GC, really very similar to the 310 size. And this is the H2100 hydrogen box. Keep this too, in case you ever have to send this back for service. So the hydrogen generator looks like that. Should be empty. Take the water out. If it has water in there, drain the water out through this tube on the back, where you take the tube out and then you just let it, all the water drain out like that. Now I'll put that back in later. So the hydrogen generator has a little place that's obviously a little receptacle for it. Watch your fingers when you're putting this in, because it's a kind of a tight fit. Okay, so there it is. And then there's another, just like pretty much any computer these days. The thing that's different about this lid is that these little upright pieces of metal slide into the little gaps, right? So you have to kind of wiggle this on. That's good on that one. That one's good. Okay. So I got it all. You can see these little pieces of metal are designed so that you can bend them over, and that really secures the lid on. There's 6 of them. And then when you unpack, you just have to have a pair of pliers and unbend that little piece of metal. So that's how you do that. Make sure to put your who owns this on the inside in case it gets lost, and make sure you put a note or something. If you send it to us, make sure that we know what to do with this. Even if you've told us over the phone, say it again on a piece of paper, so that when we get this, it's very clear what's supposed to happen. Probably it gets fixed and sent back to you. So last we have what we call our vertical sized gas chromatograph. It's a much bigger GC, so it needs to live in a much bigger box. So this is what it looks like when it's properly packed up. So I'm going to unpack it and then pack it back up again. So first we take out anything like parts or anything, any loose pieces of soft foam, right? The soft foam doesn't really help the GC stay in one position. So there's some harder foam like this that really helps to keep the GC from banging around inside. So keep all those pieces. So here we go. Take the GC out, and you can see it's really the same system as for the other 2 GCs. You put the GC in to the bottom foam, and then you cinch down on these cardboard angles so that it's sturdy enough that you can lift it by the straps, right? So it's the same process. We don't have to really go through that again. So you put it in there, and then you kind of lock it in place with the foam. It should be kind of obvious where the pieces of foam want to go. These are the stiff pieces of foam that actually would keep the GC from moving around. And then there's be some softer foam, really just takes up a little space, doesn't really keep the GC from shifting around. So put it in wherever you think it seems like it makes the most sense. Okay, and then this size box doesn't have bolts, so you pretty much have to use tie wraps, right? So you'd put two tie wraps through on each side just to be sure. They should be good heavy tie wraps, not tiny little weak tie wraps, right? So two on each side. And we usually ship extra tie wraps with the box, right? So you should have some of these if you need them. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Sorry you have to send your GC back to us, but we'll take care of it.